There's a hole in my vegetable patch where a mundane piece of PVC pipe sits, an object my neighbors view as a sign of madness. But little do they know, that ugly pipe is quietly producing the world's most expensive fertilizer every single day, completely for free. I don't need to turn a compost pile, spend money on store-bought bags, or follow any exhausting schedules. It is an ancient, ruthlessly efficient system that the $200 billion fertilizer industry has spent decades trying to hide just to keep you dependent. Most people are sacrificing their space, time, and energy for obsolete composting methods, while this system allows Mother Earth to operate invisibly on her own. Once you understand the science behind it, you will realize that every commercial fertilizer bag is nothing more than a lie designed to pick your pocket. This isn't a new invention, it is an agricultural secret deliberately buried since the mid-20th century, and it is finally time we unearth it. The mechanism behind this pipe is more sophisticated than any automated fertilization system. Earthworms have no eyes or ears, yet they possess a hypersensitive chemical scanning system across every centimeter of their skin. They perceive the world through moisture levels and chemical gradients in the soil. The moment you drop a banana peel or coffee ground into the PVC pipe and seal the lid, decomposition begins instantly. Microbes release specific volatile compounds into the soil through the perforated holes. These compounds diffuse outward like an invisible broadcast signal, and every worm within range begins to navigate toward it. This is no random wandering. Soil biology research shows that earthworms home in on food sources with startling precision, much like a shark scenting blood in the ocean. The pipe becomes a permanent way station. Worms enter the perforations, feast inside the chamber, and then perform a crucial task. They leave. They migrate back out through your entire root zone, digesting organic matter, aerating the soil with their tunnels, and depositing castings, what scientists call vermicompost, directly where the roots are most desperate for nutrients. Herein lies the brilliance of the system. The pipe doesn't just contain fertility, it creates a biological gravity that distributes fertility throughout the garden bed via the natural movement of worms. You aren't just building a compost bin, you are constructing a worm highway. Consider the value. Worm castings are sold for $15 to $30 for a small 5-liter bag at garden centers. It is marketed as a luxury fertilizer, but the price tag only tells half the truth. Conventional chemical fertilizers merely provide NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, in a fast-acting soluble form, causing plants to spike and then quickly crash, creating a cycle of financial dependency. In contrast, worm castings contain a slow-release biological matrix filled with natural growth hormones like auxins and cytokinins, which trigger explosive root development. A 2011 study in the journal Applied Soil Ecology proved that even small amounts of worm castings outperform synthetic fertilizers in germination rates and plant resilience. However, this method has its limits. It is not an instant miracle for soil so heavily poisoned by chemicals that not a single worm remains. You need a minimum biological foundation to jumpstart this factory. The second you drive this pipe into the earth, you cease to be a passive consumer of the fertilizer industry. You officially become a bioengineer operating a life energy production system. Constructing this system is laughably simple, which is precisely why it's dismissed by those trying to sell you expensive equipment. All you need is a section of PVC pipe, 10 centimeters to 15 centimeters in diameter, or even an old plastic bucket with a lid. This diameter is large enough to hold a meaningful amount of organic waste without being so bulky that it slows down microbial decomposition. Cut the pipe to a length of about 45 centimeters to 60 centimeters. You will bury 2/3 of the pipe in the ground, leaving about 10 centimeters above the surface to serve as the feeding port. Before burying it, use a 12mm to 20mm drill bit to perforate the lower 2/3 of the pipe, spacing the holes about 5 centimeters apart. These aren't filters, they are gateway systems.
The more holes you have, the higher the traffic flow for the worms, and the wider the distribution of castings into your garden bed. Leave the bottom of the pipe open to allow leachate to soak directly into the roots and let worms enter from below. Place the pipe in the center of your garden bed to maximize its radius of influence. The operational process is the key. Only add raw, plant-based kitchen scraps such as fruit peels, coffee grounds, crushed eggshells, and a bit of shredded cardboard to balance the moisture. Absolutely no meat, fish, dairy, or oily foods should go into the pipe. These decompose through different bacterial pathways, creating ammonia compounds that repel earthworms instead of attracting them. Remember, this is a self-regulating system. If you notice an unpleasant odor, stop adding scraps and toss in a handful of dry leaves or cardboard to reestablish the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. You'll know the system is working when the soil around the pipe becomes crumbly, dark, and your plants begin to grow at a pace that no bag of chemical fertilizer could ever explain. What you have just learned is more than just a gardening tip. It is a quiet act of resistance. Every time you share this knowledge, you're directly severing a link in the $200 billion profit cycle of the fertilizer industry. Subscribing isn't just about supporting me, it's about joining a community of people who refuse to depend on corporations and choose to trust in the power of 500-million-year-old biology. In the next video, I will reveal an even more shocking technique: how to completely revive dead, compacted, and lifeless soil into a fertile paradise in just 60 days without tilling or buying a single soil amendment from the store. You won't want to miss it.